a kid when I was very, very super young. People would ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I would say a mom. I guess it was one of the only things I knew also. But one of my best friends, Michelle Hogan, who's in the Overeasies with me, even told me now, she's like, I always thought it was strange. Even in high school, people would ask you what you want to be, and like we knew about other things. But you kept saying a mom. I'm like, yeah, I guess. But I don't think I ever thought about what it meant to be a mom, really, and how you got to that point. I remember in elementary school, my friend Jen Simonelli told me that this boy, James Cunningham, had a crush on me, and he was on the Dairy Demons, which is a football team, and he had the cutest little, like, tight, curly blonde hair, and he was a popular kid, and Jen Simonelli was on the cheerleading squad, so, like, he told her this, and then she told me, and I was terrified. And I was terrified because I thought James Cunningham must be magic. Because that's the only way that he would ever actually like me, is that he could see into the future and see that I would be an amazing, beautiful woman, but like he didn't like me for who I was right then. And this terrified me because if he could see that, then he could also see other things into the future. And I didn't want to know other things that would happen. I wanted to stay naive. So I never ever talked to James Cunningham. And throughout the rest of my childhood, I had very little interaction with the other sex. I did like kind of date this one kid, but we mostly just dry humped in his mom's trailer. Never anything else. And I did have this one best friend, Noah, who I was kind of obsessed with school, and I was also religious. And so if I didn't get a good grade on something, I would kind of freak out, and Noah was always there to give me a huge hug. I didn't really know what it meant, like that feeling when he'd hug me, how good that felt, but I definitely had a crush on him. And one day, a particularly bad day, because I had failed a math test I had studied really hard for, he gave me this hug, and he's like, I'll buy you some French fries at lunch. I was like, all right, cool. And when we were in the cafeteria, he was like, all right, I'm going to get you those French fries. I don't know what the fuck he said. He said something, and while doing it, nudged me in the stomach like that. And I felt like the worst pain in the world, right here. And I didn't know what to do. I couldn't really breathe. I was just like I need to go to the nurse. And he thought it was just nerves because I just failed the math test. But I went to the nurse. She called my mom picked me up. And I was a little bit of a hypochondriac. So when I said I wanted to go to the doctor, my mom was like, let's give it a day. Like, I always thought I had strep. So I was going to the doctor a lot for strep, and I never did. So I don't think I've still ever had strep that I do all the time. So we went to the doctor eventually, but she gave it a couple days. And after it still was hurting, the doctor's like, all right, does it hurt here? She pressed and said, yes. She's like, here? I'm like, yes. and she's like, all right, we're going to do a pregnancy test. So I took the pregnancy test, and when she came back, I just turned 18, just the day before, a couple days before. So my mom didn't need to be with me, which was a first for me, and she was there when I took the test. And so the doctor said, do you want your mom here? Like, she doesn't have to be in. And I was like, yes, yeah, I don't care. My mom, yeah, you can be here. And she said the test came back positive, you are pregnant. I was like, Mom, I'm a virgin, I'm definitely a virgin. And my mom's looking at me, and she looks at the doctor, she's like, she's a virgin. And the doctor's like, and she really, I give credit to my mom, the doctor did not believe me, and she kept looking at my mom, she's just not giving up the information, but she's definitely had sex. And my mom was like, all right, is there any way she could have been artificially inseminated? Did she sit on semen at the beach? And the doctor's she's like, no. She's like, well, and my mom's really serious too, but she's like, did she like somehow get like a tube like injected into her while she was sleeping? And the doctor was like, well, that could have happened, but no, like that, no. So then she scheduled an ultrasound in the same building very soon after, but it was like maybe an hour, so we had to wait. And they told me to go into the bathroom to, you know, get ready. And while I was in there, I just cried and cried and cried and cried, because from my perspective, like, I was a virgin, I definitely had never had sex. I was gonna have Jesus. I was the next Virgin Mary, and I really, really did believe this. Like, it's funny to laugh about now, definitely, but I was like thinking about like what people would call me, and like how much responsibility this was, and like I even thought about like swears. I'm like, cool, like maybe I'll get to be a swear someday, or like what was this? And also just like weeping uncontrollably. And I come out of the room, and at this point, like, my dad has arrived, and he's like waiting in the waiting room while mom's in there. And they do the ultrasound, and she's like, it's not a baby. All right, it's not a baby, okay. And she's like, no, and that was it. And we just had to sit there, and they're like, well, what is it? She's like, a mass. Mass. Okay. So like, I'm religious and Catholic at this point, so I'm like, mass. Okay. And they kept calling it a mass, and you know, it's like a process to these things. So then I'm put in another room in a bed to wait for an ambulance. And even though like I was 18, they were like, you have the option to go to a children's hospital if you want to. And so I said yes. So I was waiting for an ambulance to drive me to children's hospital here. And while I was waiting, my dad's like, they just kept calling it a mass. And my dad's like, it's not a mass, it's Ethel. And he kept calling it Ethel. And I was like, what do you mean it's Ethel? Like, he named my mass. And eventually we found out that the mass, after waiting and going to children's hospital and then having surgery, was a big-ass tumor. It was about the size of a football. If I was pregnant, I would have been 3 months pregnant.
Wow.
And Ethel was born. I had after several, probably days of waiting, it was a germ cell tumor. So I had ovarian cancer. It was on both of my ovaries, and so I had to get one definitely removed. And the other one, my mom was like, she's keeping it. Like, she's gotta, like, is there any way she can keep it? Because, like, my number one thing was, like, I wanted to have kids. And my mom was so obsessed with this fact, too. But at this point, I had forgotten about that totally. And I just wanted everything out. And I've never really felt that since, is, like, that disconnect from my body and just, like, wanting to not be in my body at all. But they kept it. And I went through 3 rounds of chemotherapy, and I'm better. So I guess it's not really the end of the story, but, you know, I don't really know how to end it, to be honest. In that process, when I came out of the hospital, many, many, many things, it's like a whole nother story happened in the hospital, especially because I was in a children's hospital. All my friends were kids, and none of them survived. So there's like that whole other side thing. But it gave me this appreciation, what we're talking about, for life, that I definitely didn't have before. I renounced religion, whatever that means. I didn't care about school. I was really upset at school for a long time, and that people, or like my parents and society, made me think it was so important. And I started focusing just on myself and making things and talking to people. So, yeah, that's the end of
still want to be a mom?
Yeah, oh yeah, I do still want to be a mom. This is like another side thing, but someone recently kind of talked to me without, like, it was they shouldn't have been talking to me about this at the time, and I didn't ask any more questions about it, but they were in the medical industry and told me that because I had chemo, I shouldn't have kids. My oncologist told me I can, and that it's possible that I have plenty of eggs, and my ovary is fine, but this person said that I should not. So I want to know more about that, and I want to research that more. If anyone knows anything here, you can talk to me. Not right now. But yeah.
Did you ever talk to your dad about where you got Ethel from?
No, my dad's so weird. My dad's no, he's just trying to make light of everything. I love my dad so much.
Did Noah feel bad for working you?
I never told Noah. He's still my friend. No, yeah, he doesn't know. And Noah's like a huge thing for me too, like the name Noah, like they keep coming up over and over, but this is the very first Noah. So, and we actually slept with each other since. So like, there's like, it's been this like, I don't know.
But that's not.
I would never tell him. Huh?
That's not the Noah we know.
Leah's met Noah Lefebvre.
Okay.
Weird that I said his last name, but I don't think we care. There's so many you have to specify. That's not his last name. But like, if I ever did tell him, if he didn't do that, I would have never known that I mean, I would have known eventually, but it might have been worse. When he did burst it, like it did burst, it went everywhere. And maybe if he didn't, it would have been contained and the surgery would have gotten rid of most of it as opposed to like having to do chemo. But I don't know, like I don't know.
Isn't it true that you ended up at Cloud Club kind of because of
Yeah. Yeah. When I was in the hospital, I would write to like everyone I admired, a little bit using cancer, but I was also just super bored, and I was also like in the mode of like I need to be a part of the world. Like what was I doing before this? So I wrote to Amanda Palmer, who is in the Dresden Dolls, who also lives here. I was like, I'm gonna read your music, kind of thing, but which is not at all where our relationship is right now. But through that, I met her, and she came to visit, and that's how I kind of ended up here.
Casey, I'm trying to think how to ask this, do you still experience cancer as in your body?
I go to the doctor a lot for things that I don't have. But so in that way, yes, I don't feel detached from my body like I did. But I definitely think I have things a lot that I don't have. But sometimes I do. And then that's good that I go into the doctor. But I had a thing for a while where I kept feeling like my brain buzzing. And so I thought this was like a neurological thing, but when I went to go see doctors about it, they're like, you can't feel your brain. Like, and I'm like, but I thought it was a lot more, but nothing was wrong with me. So things like that have definitely still happened. I haven't seen a therapist. But I know I should. All right. Thank you.
Wait, one more.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Can I ask something? Do you think that you're grateful for your experience, and would you change it if you could?
I used to be grateful, or I used to talk about it like that anyway to people. I don't really know if I really was grateful. I'm glad that I am who I am now. I don't know how to think about it another way. If I could change anything. It's like, I mean, there's a bunch of guilt things, like with people who have passed away. Well, I was friends with them and then lost contact over the years, and I wish I didn't, to then find out that they died. Or I wish I was just more present, or in some cases, like I did keep visiting people, but I actually just couldn't be there. Like they were so sick that you're not allowed to be there anymore. So it's, I don't know. Is the real answer, I guess.
Thanks, Casey.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.